What is up, everyone? Welcome to another video. I don't know what happened the past few weeks. I kind of fell off the wagon and stopped making videos, but I realized that I should be recording my successes and my failures. Also, one day I can look back at this and remember how awesome it was. Today I'm going to tell you a quick story I read a few months back, and it's basically about a kid who was invited to their first sleepover. To paraphrase, everything was going well until this kid was made to feel uncomfortable and teased. So the kid asked the friend's mom if they could call their parents. The friend's mom said it was very late and also made a slew of other reasons to discourage the kid from calling their parents. But the kid replied that their parents didn't care, so repeated, "I would like to call my parents, please." As the kid held the phone and called home, the mom picked up. She asked, "Is everything okay? Do you need me to come get you?" And the kid said, "Yes, please." A few minutes later, the doorbell rang and the kid's mom showed up. The other mom, the friend's mom, was apologizing for the kid's behavior. And the kid's mom simply replied, "Don't apologize for my kid. I want them to know that they can leave anytime they want and that I will be there to get them." So what is the point? Why am I telling you this? Well, I'll tell you after another personal story that happened a few weeks back. And basically I entered into a verbal argument with a family member. It's been a while since this happened because generally I try to make a conscious effort to have thoughtful conversations that lead to a conclusion, new knowledge, or a fresh perspective. But this time, we simply had a disagreement on what the next steps should be. So before we knew it, the yelling and screaming started. But at the peak and climax, I had an epiphany. So I asked, "Why are you yelling?" And they responded, "Because you're yelling, etc, etc, etc." And I just left the situation. So imagine you're like in a heated discussion with someone and you're literally talking to them or they're talking to you, and one of you leaves while you're talking to them. And that is exactly what I did. Now in the past, I probably would have tried to calm this person down, tried to engage in the argument, or try to even get a rise out of that person by making them more frustrated or even angrier. Now, I'm not saying that's the most mature, but that's something I would have definitely done in the past. But this time, in the wake of my epiphany, I thought to myself, how did I get to this point? Or how did we get to this point? And then I realized that didn't matter and I should consider that later on. So what was next? I also thought, okay, can I calm this person down? What can I do to change this situation? That is why I asked, "Why are you yelling?" Because that way I could get a sense of whether or not they're in a state of incoherence or they're actually listening to me. And they responded with anger, just constant frustration, and that is what made me realize that there's nothing I could say or do that would get through to them. So at this point, I'm thinking, should I finish the task while not feeling the best about myself and feeling resentful about this person? Or should I leave the situation? The answer seemed kind of obvious. So I figured I would leave the situation because there's nothing I could do or say to get through to them. Also, it didn't make sense for me to stay in this situation because me staying would only reinforce their behavior. Much like the kid at the beginning of the story, I made a conscious effort to free myself from a situation that I didn't have to be in. And I think that's important because a lot of these times we make up these reasons based on social circumstances, the expectations of others, and maybe even the expectations from ourselves on how we should act, rather than putting ourselves first and making the best decisions in a critical moment. Now, of course, I'm not saying that you should always leave situations that are uncomfortable right away. Of course, there are going to be situations where you're going to be growing through going through that stress and hardship. But in this particular situation, there was nothing to gain from participating in communicating with this other person. And the same thing with that kid. So it's important to remember that you have the ability to cut communication or leave any situation that doesn't really serve you. And throughout my journey, maybe as well as in your journey, you're going to be revisiting certain situations that you've done in the past. You may have reacted not in the best way. And you may have thought that avoiding that situation was cowardly, or you may have thought that being the loudest voice in the room means that you would win. But in essence, you really don't gain anything from it. So cutting communications is something that I've really incorporated into my life in terms of setting boundaries and putting myself first. And I hope that helps you out in the future as well. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and I will see you guys next time.